Today is Thursday, June 25th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we're on Chapter 11, A Vision for You. We'll be reading page 159. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Tradition 11. We'll read page 182. And of course, read the 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, hope y'all are doing well this morning, my friends. Life is good over here. It is my belly button birthday today. 40. 40 years old. I would say this is middle age, but shoot, I'd be lucky if I make it to 80. But you know what the beautiful thing is? I think about my life 10 years ago. It wasn't all bad. You know, there were some beautiful things actually that happened during that time. We found out that my wife was pregnant with my son a little over 10 years ago. We were told we couldn't have children and we were blessed with him. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, well, I'll definitely stop drinking now. But I had to go through a couple more years of pain before I finally gave up the bottle. Before I finally surrendered and admitted that my life was unmanageable and I was powerless over alcohol. Over self. So, on the other side of it now, going on 8 years sober, one day at a time, I am so much happier, so much more joyful and grateful, but it's a daily practice. But it is a practice that bears fruit in my life, and it is so worth it. And I mean it when I say that I feel better at 40 in every area of my life, even physically. I feel better at 40 than I did when I was 30. And I owe all of that to my higher power and to this program. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. So if you recall from the last few days of reading, we've been getting an origin or a recap of the origins of AA. We talked about Bill Dawson yesterday. Now we're talking about a fourth member on page 159, the Devil May Care chap. He had 3 visitors. After a bit, he said, "The way you fellows put the spiritual stuff makes sense. I'm ready to do business. I guess the old folks were right after all." So one more was added to the fellowship. All this time, our friend of the hotel lobby incident remained in that town. He was there 3 months. He now returned home, leaving behind his first acquaintance, the lawyer and the Devil May Care chap. These men had found something brand new in life. Though they knew they must help other alcoholics if they would remain sober, that motive became secondary. It was transcended by the happiness they found in giving themselves for others. They shared their homes, their slender resources, and gladly devoted their spare hours to fellow sufferers. They were willing, by day or night, to place a new man in the hospital and visit him afterward. They grew in numbers. They experienced a few distressing failures, but in those cases, they made an effort to bring the man's family into a spiritual way of living, thus relieving much worry and suffering. A year and 6 months later, these 3 had succeeded with 7 more. Seeing much of each other, scarce an evening passed that someone's home did not shelter a little gathering of men and women, happy in their release, and constantly thinking about how they might present their discovery to some newcomer. In addition to these casual get-togethers, it became customary to set apart one night a week for a meeting to be attended by anyone or everyone interested in a spiritual way of life. Aside from the fellowship and sociability, the prime object was to provide a time and place where new people might bring their problems. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Tradition 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And if you recall from the last couple of days of reading, hey, yeah, AA being advertised has helped. But the ones who are doing the advertising are the friends outside of AA, Newspapers and radio and films, they've recommended AA based on the results they see. But those inside of it lead by attraction rather than promotion. So with that, we are on page 182. We'll read the first 2 paragraphs. In the beginning, the press could not understand our refusal of all personal publicity. They were genuinely baffled by our insistence upon anonymity. Then they got the point. Here was something rare in the world, a society which said that it wished to publicize its principles and its work, but not its individual members. The press was delighted with this attitude. Ever since, these friends have reported AA with enthusiasm, which the most ardent members would find hard to match. There was actually a time when the press of America thought that the anonymity of AA was better for us than some of our own members did. At one point, about 100 of our society were breaking anonymity at a public level. With perfectly good intent, these folks declared that the principle of anonymity was horse and buggy stuff, something appropriate to AA's pioneering days. They were sure that AA could go faster and farther if it availed itself of modern publicity methods. AA, they pointed out, included many persons of local, national, or international fame. Provided they were willing, and many were, why shouldn't their membership be publicized, thereby encouraging others to join us? These were plausible arguments, but happily, our friends of the writing profession disagree with them. And we will find out why tomorrow. Stay tuned. "24 hours a day, June 25th. AA thought for the day. One of the most encouraging facts of life is your weakness can become your greatest asset. Kites and airplanes rise against the wind. In climbing up a high mountain, we need the stony crags and rough places to aid us in our climb. So your weakness can become an asset if you will face it, examine it, and trace it to its origin. Set it in the very center of your mind. No weakness, such as drinking, ever turned into an asset until it was first fairly faced. Am I making my weakness my greatest asset? Meditation for the day. When we seek to worship God, we think of the great universe that God rules over, of creation, and of mighty law and order throughout the universe. Then we feel the awe that precedes worship. I too must feel awe. Feel the desire to worship God in wondering amazement. My mind is in a box of space and time, and it is so made that I cannot conceive of what is beyond space or time, the limitless and the eternal. But I know there must be something beyond space and time. And that something must be the limitless and eternal power behind the universe. I also know that I can experience that power in my life. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may accept the limitless and eternal Spirit. I pray that it may express itself in my life. Daily Reflection, June 25th. A two-way street. If we ask, God will certainly forgive our derelictions, but in no case does He render us white as snow and keep us that way without our cooperation. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 65. When I prayed, I used to omit a lot of things for which I needed to be forgiven. I thought that if I didn't mention these things to God, He would never know about them. I did not know that if I had just forgiven myself for some of my past deeds, God would forgive me also. I was always taught to prepare for the journey through life, never realizing till I came to AA, when I honestly became willing to be taught forgiveness and forgiving, that life itself is the journey. The journey of life is a very happy one, as long as I am willing to accept change and responsibility. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading. And man, do I love that daily reflection. Going back to the 12 and 12 quote, if we ask, God will certainly forgive our derelictions. But in no case does he render us white as snow and keep us that way without our cooperation. So what that means to me is that I'm the one that gets in the way sometimes. It's almost like I struggle believing that I'm forgiven. I thought that if I didn't mention these things to God, he would never know about them. That was me. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that was me. I just wanted to sweep it under the rug and just hope that nobody saw that and nobody ever sees it. But when I would lay my head down at night or wake up in the morning, I would think about that certain thing I swept under the rug. I was ashamed. And because I was ashamed, I had a really hard time forgiving myself. But then the next line here, I did not know that if I had just forgiven myself for some of my past deeds, God would forgive me also. Not forgiving myself is a form of pride in reverse. What I've done is so bad that nobody, not even God, can forgive me for this. You hear the pride there? And the self-centeredness because I'm only thinking of me? If I am constantly beating myself up, I am of no use to anybody else. And if I'm not helping anybody else, I am being selfish. Speaking that real quick, and then I'll come back to this daily reflection. I love in the big book, when they talk about working with others, it says here, where was it? These men have found something brand new in life. This is on page 159. Though they knew that they must help out their other alcoholics if they would remain sober, that motive became secondary. Okay, that's great. That helps us stay sober, right? But the greater motive, according to this page, is it was transcended by the happiness they found in giving themselves for others. So yes, for me, when I work with others, yes, it's necessary for my survival, honestly. But at the same time, I love working with others. And somehow by working with them, I feel better. It's a crazy thing. But then finally going back to the daily reflection one last time, I love this. I was always taught to prepare for the journey through life, waiting for the next destination. I heard the quote, and I believe it's from one of the Beatles. Might have been John Lennon. Life is what happens when we're busy making plans, right? So it says here, I was always taught to prepare for the journey through life, never realizing until I came to AA, when I honestly became willing to be taught forgiveness and forgiving, that life itself is the journey. When I've been willing to be taught forgiveness and forgiving. The journey of life is a very happy one, as long as I'm willing to accept change and responsibility. That tells me I've got a choice. Acceptance and responsibility. Beautiful stuff. Talking about joy, right? Thinking about some of my favorite birthdays. I remember my 5th birthday in Gloucester City. It was the first birthday party we had in our new home. And because my parents had moved from Kester Avenue in Philly to Gloucester City, it was their first year there, and they'd only been there for a couple of months. It was my 5th birthday. And I'm a summer kid, right? And I'll never forget, all the family wanted to see the new house. Oh, and it was my birthday too. And of course, there were tons of toys, right? I remember they had big old party. It was almost like a family reunion. A lot of folks came by. There was this giant tent with these tables underneath it filled with toys. birthday presents, right? I remember Ninja Turtle toys. I remember wrestlers and all kinds of stuff. I remember some of the people that came. And then expectations, right? So that was my 5th birthday. One of the best I've ever had. My 6th birthday rolls around. Same house, right? Well, the newness of the house is over with. It's my 6th birthday and about 4 people showed up. So talk about expectations, right? I kept thinking, oh man, I'm going to get all these presents, and like 3 people showed up. So even then, as a kid, I had those super high expectations, which just lead to premeditated disappointment and resentments, right? But going back to those high moments in life, I think about a pool party I had in Deptford, New Jersey, at my neighbor's house. I think it was my 10th birthday. I still remember sitting by the stream before that pool party. I had a stream in our backyard, and I remember thinking, yep, I'm 10 years old now. I'm growing up. I remember that. I in my mind's eye, I know exactly where I was, what the day looked like, where I was sitting. I remember thinking that and just feeling so grown up, and the world's right before me and everything, and I'm going to do great things in life and all these things. But once again, talk about expectations. I have done great things in life. They just weren't the things that I thought I was going to do. They were things that came along the way that I never saw coming. Talking about turning weaknesses into assets. The fact that I am an alcoholic, my higher power has used that to become my greatest asset to help other people. To meet them where they're at and say, hey, I've been there. I've been where you're at. Hey, let's work through this together. But I guess the last thing I'll say is all those great birthdays, even then, they pale in comparison with the consistent joy that I feel in sobriety. And as I said at the top of the show, in every area of my life, now that I'm 40, it has improved. I'm so blessed, so grateful to be here. So that's all I've got for today, guys. I hope you have a great one. Please know, as always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect. I'm just joyful drug in this life mode of recovery. Honored to be here today. And I also want to wish, I'm probably saying the name wrong, V Serrano. It's on Spotify. Their birthday was yesterday, the 24th. So I want to say happy birthday. And also a happy early birthday to my daughter. She turns 8 years old tomorrow. But my friends, if we're given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.